jump into it. So tēnā koutou katoa. I'm Dougal Sutherland, CE and clinical psychologist from Umbrella Wellbeing. I'm your host for this webinar. But my role is really just to facilitate the conversation. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our two panelists. We've got Grant and River. And Grant, Grant's from State of Play. Do you want to stay high and introduce yourself, Grant?
Yeah, kia ora, Dougal, and thank you very much for the invite from Umbrella and Pivot. Yeah, so I'm Grant Caunter. I'm the founder and owner of State of Play Brewing, New Zealand's only non-alcoholic brewery. And the reason I started this brewery came about after 25 years with Heineken. Ended up in Amsterdam as the global head of craft beer for the second biggest global brewer. I thought I was living the dream, and well, of course I was. But 4 years ago, I found myself mid-COVID, pretty much 145 kgs, a habit of drinking, and it was everything that defined me. And then 4 years ago, I decided that I wanted a better Grant, a Grant 2.0. And I ditched the booze and got on with living, and discovered this beautiful world of non-alc beer, and went on a bit of a transformational journey to lose weight, get more motivated, and enjoy my second half, so to speak, even more than the first. And so arriving back in New Zealand, started up a small business of non-alc beer, the first of its kind in New Zealand. And now we're 2 years down the track, and we're actually the fastest growing brewery in New Zealand. So I'm very proud of all the gains we've had and our ability to provide some choices for drinkers out there looking for some change, without compromising at all on taste, and importantly, being able to share that great social moment of being able to have a beer with your friends and family. So that's how I arrived here today, Dougal.
Awesome. Thanks, mate. That's great. And in a couple of minutes, we're going to hear a bit more about Grant's journey and around his motivation, and particularly what he's gained, I think, which is really, I've heard Grant talk and listen, and it's really interesting. So, but wanting to come to and introduce River from Pivot as well. Hey, River, do you want to say kia ora to the folks?
Kia ora, everybody, and thank you, Dougal and Grant. It's always lovely to hear little snippets of your story. It's really inspiring. So I'm the manager of Pivot, which is a drug and alcohol service based in Wellington. You know, sometimes I get asked why I work in the mahi that I do, and I've been working in the drug and alcohol sector now for over 30 years. And simply, it's in my DNA. I come from a family where there's very long history, multi-generational history of alcohol and drug abuse, and that's had some pretty serious impact in our lives. And so I was always going to be on one side of the fence or the other. And here I am in the AOD sector, and leading this amazing service called Pivot, which I'll talk a little bit, just a wee bit about. It's a service that works to prevent harm, and so we're in the harm reduction space. We're all about preventing people from falling into the pit of real harm and hurt in their families and hurt in their communities. And so we're the ambulance at the top of the cliff. And this is a fantastic opportunity for us to come together, the three of us come together and talk with people and share with you some ideas around, I guess, reducing harm, and going dry in July is a bit of a challenge. So let's do that.
Brilliant. Thanks, River. Hey, and for those of you who have jumped on this webinar, great to have you. If you have any questions, please feel free to use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. Use that rather than the chat, if that's possible. We will, fingers crossed, and good facilitation on my end, get to some questions at the end. We're aiming to finish by 1 because we know that people are short on time and this is just a bite-sized chunk. But if you've got any questions along the way, throw them in. We'll do our best to answer them. And we'll go from there. Hey, look, Grant, I'm going to come back to you. I think you've given us a really good idea about what led you, Grant 2.0, from the manager of Heineken across the world to new Grant. I'm really keen to hear a little bit more about what you have maybe gained. Like, I think it's easy to think of dry July as, I've got to do without, I'm going to lose something. But you've got a really nice way of spinning that. So wondering if you could talk to us about what you have gained from being from taking alcohol out.
I'm really motivated by progress. And what was really demotivating was stagnation, procrastination, feeling that something miraculously was going to happen around me without me doing anything any different. So the motivation from progress came from really committing and going all in on Grant 2.0. And for me, it was the 3-legged stool of cutting the booze, exercising, eating different, but more than that, the mindset that I wanted more out of my life. I wanted it to be better, and knowing that I was the only one in control of that game plan. So for me, I took the argument away from alcohol and turned it into, what is it that I really want, and what do I want to go for? I was really motivated by weight because that was a really physical attribute that I knew was holding me back and was a poor habit. So being able to go, God, imagine what it would be like being 99 kilograms. Not so much what the scale said, but then what I could do, how much fun I was going to have with my kids, how much more active I was going to be in sport, how good my golf handicap was going to get. So it was a big mindset shift from not what I was giving up, which was a habit, which was really an ingrained 50-year-old habit of routine drinking, to all these other things that was going to come. And of course, people talk about things like sleep, skin, just the removal of what I would call the hangxiety that I had from just a daily dose of habit drinking, recovery, and re-drinking. And all of that reframing and regular check-ins with myself, because I was the command center of this new game plan and only answerable to me. So I actually see as a couple of really key check-ins was at the end of that first month, being able to sit there and go, well, what have I gained? Well, I've gained the lightness of 10 kilograms. I've gained probably, I would say, 3 to 4 hours a day I gained from removing habit drinking. And actually, it takes a bit to be a habit drinker. There's a lot that goes into it. And equally, once I committed to a new approach, there's actually a bit of planning required to fill in all that time that you get back in your life. And then after that first month, heading towards 100 days, that's when all those new habits really kicked in, and just how visible the progress became made it even more motivating. So by the end of that year, and really that's how long I knew at the beginning this transformation would require, I was 50 kgs lighter. I'd halved the amount of time it took me to run around the local park. And even an unexpected benefit that I didn't know would happen is I had been using a sleep apnea machine for 10 years prior to that, and I thought that was a life sentence. I thought that was it. And at the end of that year, no need for that. So what got me, and still gets me, I'm just celebrating my 4th anniversary today, because it was the 2nd of July 2020 that I had my last pint. That the gift keeps on giving, actually, and I'm sure it will continue.
Awesome. Go, that's amazing, and amazing to hear some of those differences that you've noticed, you know, in your physical and your social and across the board. River, I guess I'm curious to know how, like, if you're somebody that's I sometimes consider people on the 1st or 2nd of July sort of dry curious. You're kind of going, oh, maybe I could. What benefit do you think having something like a month without alcohol can give to people? What advantages can it give if you're just sort of, you're not sure? Like, I'm sure lots of people are going, oh, I don't know if I should or not. What do you think are some of those benefits that you might get from that, from going for a month without?
That's a great question. And I guess, you know, the answer is it's different for each person. But I think one of the things is, you know, this whole campaign around going dry in July is kind of taking off. You know, year by year, it's kind of growing. It's getting momentum. And I think one of the spin-offs of that is that it legitimizes people's choice to not drink for a month. You know, it's given our history in this country, in Aotearoa, we're great binge drinkers. You know, it's part of the nation, and so having this time of a month where, you know, there's lots of people talking about not drinking for a month, it allows people that may be feeling a bit challenged by the stigma or wanting to keep up appearances for whatever the reasons are. It allows them the opportunity to join in something like that and feel part of a different movement, a different way of being in their world for a month without alcohol. So I think that's one of the things that's you know, that's a huge benefit to us as a community. I think secondly, it's about giving your body a break, simply giving your body a break. And, you know, by not having your body needing to metabolize, needing to work as hard as it does to get rid of alcohol out of your system, you know, you really are giving your body an opportunity to reset and like Grant was saying, you know, some of those really tangible health benefits of you know, suddenly feeling, you know, clear-headed in the morning. The time, you know, I was amazed at, Grant, that you talked about, you know, those 3 hours a day that you think you claimed back. That's a huge amount of time. And if you're, you know, if you're somebody that has a family or has a whole bunch of activities happening in your life, then, you know, that's another 3 hours a day that you've got to go and participate in other things. So it gives you all of those opportunities to experience it in a different way. I think there's one more point that I wanted to talk to, and that's about sometimes, you know, when you're thinking about making change, it can be really hard when you think about it as forever. This is a change I'm making forever. And, you know, there's pros and cons about a month of not drinking. But I think that one of the good things about having that month is that you can say, okay, for this month, this is what I'm going to try. This is what I'm going to have a crack at. And, you know, often after, you know, as people going through that month, they realize that actually I can do it for a bit longer. I can do it for a little bit longer and a little bit longer. But to begin with, you know, sometimes it's really helpful just to have a defined period of time that you're trying something new.
And Grant, going through that month, and your month is extended from a month to 2 months to 12 months to 4 years. Any kind of advice on how to handle because some people might, you know, especially like on a week or times that you're used to drinking, like, you know, the classic sort of Friday night or Saturday night after work. Any advice or tips that you have for what can people do if they are kind of in that situation and thinking, oh man, and feeling kind of conflicted? It's like, I kind of like a drink, but I also don't want to, and I'm sort of given that up, or at least for the month. I don't want to do this for the month. Can you give us any kind of things that have worked for you around dealing with that kind of sense of push me, pull you? Yes, I do. No, I don't.
Well, I totally agree with what River said there. If you make it too big, it's an obstacle you can't climb. What is great about Dry July is it's socially acceptable for a month to join in. So we're all just part of this together. So for July and going dry, it's the perfect month of the year to you know, give it a go. The second bit I would add in is but to your first question, Dougal, is this isn't a fight against alcohol, it's a fight for yourself. So what in those moments of the push me, pull me, what's the trigger that makes the motivation continue greater than the ease of slipping back into your own habits? What's that little reminder for yourself, that contract that you've given yourself for that month? And like I said at the beginning, for me, there's tangibles and intangibles in terms of the benefits as you look towards the month. Things you can easily measure, like for me, you know, weight, always being able to drive the car for your kids late at night, you know, all tangible stuff. The intangibles, you just don't realize how much better you're going to sleep. You don't realize that food tastes different because you've weaned yourself off all the sugar you have in the evenings. That all starts to sort of present itself a bit longer, a bit later. But that marker of why am I doing it for me and what does a good result look like, then I think is about then the most important day is 1 August. So why is 1 August? Well, you could say that's the day that people are posting on Facebook that they beat the booze and now they're back on it. I suggested an alternative approach of have an interview with yourself and go, what is the delta between how I feel in 1 August to how I wrote down I felt on 1 July, and why was it that I was giving this a bit of a go? And how wide is the delta? You know, like, is it remarkably different? Are you like, holy smoke, I'm getting compliments from people. My kids are saying, Dad, like, I've really enjoyed this, or blah, blah, blah. I think that is the key marker to help you motivate what your next step is. And as River said, you might go, oh, well, I might just go another week. I might just go another day. I might go another month. I really think once you get to like 100 days of any of these habits, the balance for me, I see really shifts. But the important date in Dry July is 1 August. And you're not proving it to anyone else other than yourself. So if you don't think that there's a difference, in what it was like a month booze free, well, great. You know, like you've got a healthy relationship with alcohol. You're moderating. You're happy. Maybe do the same thing in a year's time and have the same conversation with yourself. But I see the most in situations where it becomes basically a competition against alcohol. I see a lot of unwinding of all those benefits in August pretty quickly, and even a few steps backwards.
And you're a great fan. You kind of touched on it, but you're a great fan of kind of keeping a diary or a record or some reflections over that time, so that you've got sort of time. You've got the ability to go back and look at the data, so to speak.
I think definitely to me, but then it also comes back to what is really your motivator. And like I said, for me, I took the fight to my beer belly. And the alcohol habit was, I reframed that into what was getting in the way of me actually achieving what I wanted to do. And then sure enough, I removed that. I got 4 hours extra a day. Like as soon as you stop drinking, your carb intake like halves and you lose 5 kilograms just in the water that you're retaining. Like if you want an instant weight hit, 5 days off the booze, you go a whole month. Yeah, I was 9 kilograms in that first month, and I'm like, wow, this is I can see the reality of the change that I was making. And others, as River said, are going to have different motivations. So I'm only expressing what was mine. But what I did find is as the weeks progressed and as new benefits revealed themselves, the thought of going back to the old ways got less and less appealing, because I could just see how it would unravel all of the good work that had happened.
Yeah, nice one. Thank you. Hey, and River, Grant sort of touched on it, but in terms of sometime at the end of the month, you might go, actually, I'm kind of comfortable with what I am. Is having to me, this is related to what you said at the start around harm reduction, and some people might go, what does that mean? Is going completely abstinent without alcohol, never touching it again, is that the only way to go?
No, it's definitely not the only way to go. But for some people, that is what they choose, and for them, that's a fantastic choice. That's a great thing to do. For others, there is such a thing as safe drinking. There are some sensible choices that we can make, and and there are guidelines around drinking safely. I think in terms of working that out, it's something that you said, Grant, is about thinking about why, and I think that's so important. Why do we choose to drink, and when do we choose to drink, and when are the times that are more challenging than other times to not drink, or to drink sensibly, to drink within some limits that aren't going to have negative consequences. And I think understanding that why for ourselves is a big step in understanding the choices that we make, and whether or not we're going to make a choice around being completely abstinent, or we're going to be a person that can drink safely and enjoy a glass of wine over dinner or whatever it is. But I do think that that self-reflection and being able to really think about what those choices are that you're making and why you're making them is one of the fundamental pieces to to making a decision about a longer term plan. Yeah.
And I'm guessing just we've only got 3 minutes left, but I'm guessing, River, that quickly that's some of the work that Pivot helps with, right? Is helping people figure out their why and helping them figure out how to stick to their why or remember their why.
Yeah, it is. And and for a lot of people, there's a lot of people we find haven't really thought about that much. They've kind of just fallen into this drinking habit. They've fallen into using alcohol as a way to self-medicate or manage pain or manage stress, or they might use it as a social lubricant. I mean, there's so many different reasons why we make those choices to use substances, but often we don't actually sit down and think about that. And so so that's a big piece of work that we do with people, is around what are people's goals, what's motivating them, what do they want to see differently in their worlds. Do they want to improve their relationships, or do they want to improve their own sense of mental health and well-being? And often alcohol and other substances are a big contributor to challenging relationships, difficult family time, or work performance, and all kinds of other things. So yeah, it's a big piece that we do.
Awesome, thank you. Look, we've got 60 seconds left, and so not to put any pressure on you, Grant, but in 45 seconds, could you make a brief comment, because this was a question that came through, around the impact that you've noticed on relationships in your life from going without alcohol?
Well, it's just extraordinary. I mean, the fogginess that I was in 4 years ago, completely different to now. I would have more beers with people now than before, because I'm doing it for different reasons. I'm doing it to be social, to have interaction, engagement. My kids trust me that if they need to call me, I can actually hop in a car and come and pick them up or help them out. My wife and I go out more often. We hop on our Vespa, shoot into town, park out front, have a great meal and drive home. We've taken all the barriers away from being able to actually foster and enjoy enduring relationships. I play more sport, I do more golf. I'm more open to talk about my business than I ever before. And I think the storyline is that we also have more choice now in terms of being able to have those social moments without alcohol. And so just as a little bit of a plug for alcohol-free products, there's a reason State of Play is the fastest growing brewery in New Zealand, because more people that also still drink alcohol have added non-alcs into their portfolio more and more and more and more. And they're the bulk of the customers that I have. And the quality of the products being made in New Zealand, and I know because I looked around the world, is the best quality in the world. So if you're going to enjoy a dry July, and one of your little goals is to try some non-alc products that you've never tried before, so you can still go out, even go out more, and enjoy yourself, not hermit yourself away, then yeah, this is the month to give it a go. Awesome.
Hey, look, that's a great point to end on. So Grant and River, thanks for your time, and thanks for that good little korero about the benefits of Dry July. Don't forget, go online, check out State of Play for alcohol-free beer that you can drink and socialize with without the negative side effect. Look at that, there's a can right there. And of course, if it is causing you some problems, you don't have to struggle or be alone. Check out Pivot. Probably the easiest is their Facebook page. Would I be right in saying that, River?
Go through Explore Wellbeing, so www.explorewellbeing.org.nz.
Brilliant. Hey, look, thanks, River and Grant, for your time. Thanks, everybody, for joining. We've just slipped past 1 o'clock, so we'll call it time there. But hey, good luck if you're going to do Dry July, and make sure you keep a running record of the benefits, so that 1st of August you can go, actually, I'm not going to have a big bender. I'm going to stop and figure out what's gone well and how I can keep doing it. So good luck. Great to have you guys. Thanks for your attendance. Thanks, River and Grant. We'll leave it there for now. See ya.
Kia ora.